This is the moment that changes the course of Rocky's life. Hack boxer Spider Rico is beating up Rocky pretty badly. When the round ends, we know the reason why. Rocky is out of shape. He's desperately asking for water. He can barely catch his breath, let alone take any advice from his corner. It looks like the fight's about to end as Spider Rico begins his final assault. But then the catalyst happens that will propel Rocky towards his greatness. After this illegal headbutt, something ignites in Rocky. He unleashes his full potential and knocks Spider out for the count. You see, the movie Rocky isn't about some loser from the streets who molds himself into a boxing legend. It's actually a story about a fighter who should have been a champion, but because of different things that held him back, never was able to reach his potential. That is, until the twilight of his career.
Because you had the talent to become a good fighter, and instead of that, you became a leg breaker.
In this opening fight of the movie, we witness some of Rocky's inner abilities activate. One is his extreme determination. Even though he can barely breathe and is within an inch of getting beat, he finds a way to mount a comeback. This is an uncommon trait that he probably rarely used in the past, but would contribute to his success in the future. This is also the first time we see Rocky's super-powered body blows. Strike so strong they can break cow ribs.
You're breaking the ribs.
The irony of this being Rocky's strongest weapon is that for a body shot to work, a boxer needs to get past the barrage of jabs and evasive movements of his opponent. If Rocky does not have the ability to get on the inside, he will never be able to use his fight-changing punches. This metaphor is food for thought for us. What hidden abilities do we possess but can never access because we are not disciplined enough to be in the right position to unleash our superpower? Although we witness Rocky's potential, he doesn't realize the strength he has inside of himself yet. He's still bogged down by limiting beliefs. When Rocky chats with his local bartender, the world champion Apollo Creed appears on TV. The bartender says something racist about Creed. This is Rocky's response.
Jerry Simpson.
Craziest man is champion in the world. He took his best shot and become champ. What shot did you ever take?
Rocky reveals his greatest fear here, and I think a lot of us can relate. He's scared to take his shot, putting in all the effort to become something great only to fall short. Underlying this fear is the ingrained belief that he is destined to be a bum, a loser. In his mind, if he gives it his best shot and it's not enough, then that will confirm that he is just another palooka from Philly. Well, I think we all have come up with excuses in regards to our goals to mitigate the painful losses we might incur. For Rocky, his main excuse was that he was a southpaw and that no one wanted to fight a southpaw.
Other guys, it throws their time and makes them look awkward. Nobody wants to look awkward.
In our own lives, the amount of excuses can go on and on. I'm just not a social person. I'm not good at math. I'm not an athlete. I think if we were to really examine these beliefs, we would see that they are based on fear, not the truth. Yes, we are better at certain things and not others, but it's much too easy to come to conclusions like these based on very little data. The multiple limiting stories we have about ourselves embed themselves in our psyche and limit our lives. It would be wise to really test and examine these excuses we make for ourselves. Mythologist Joseph Campbell was credited with the saying, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek." Oftentimes, the things we fear the most are exactly the things we should be leaning into. Your destiny just might be hiding behind the pursuit that you tell yourself is impossible. Even though Rocky has a lot of fear early on, there is one thing that he does that is his saving grace, and we can learn an important lesson from him. This lesson has to do with another one of Rocky's superpowers. It's his ability to take a lot of damage in the ring and keep going. This aspect of his fighting skill is mirrored in his everyday life as well. Rocky gets put down and mocked early on in his journey.
So long, meatbag.
Mickey constantly calls him a bum.
You got hard, but you fight like a goddamn ape.
His gangster employer thinks he's stupid.
From here on in, do what I tell you to do.
Adrian questions his life choices.
I don't understand why anybody would want to be a fighter.
Even after Rocky gets a title shot, Apollo Creed backhandedly puts Rocky down.
That means if he can't fight, I bet he can cook.
In the ring and in real life, Rocky takes the hits. He doesn't give up in the ring, and in his life, he doesn't shy away from these uncomfortable truths.
Hey, Rocky.
Yo,
Screw you, creepo.
He comes to accept that he is acting like a loser, and eventually this propels him to bettering himself.
yeah, who are you to give advice, Cliffo?
It's exactly Nassim Taleb's idea of anti-fragility, that stress on a system can help the system improve. So if Rocky were weak, he would let all this antagonism bring him down, like what most likely happened to Adrian's brother Paulie in the movie. If Rocky were merely resilient, he would not be affected at all and would carry on his lifestyle. But because Rocky is anti-fragile, he uses all of this adversity to improve his life. The lesson for us is simple. Use the bad situations in your life as fuel to improve. Do your parents give you a hard time for not achieving anything? Does the opposite sex blow you off because you're supposedly not at their level? Well, instead of justifying why they're wrong, maybe you should consider if it's the truth. And if you accept that it is the truth, then instead of creating a shell around yourself and protecting your psyche, let the pain of the truth sink into you. Yes, you might be a loser. Yes, you might not be good enough for the person with whom you're infatuated. You're not doing it for anyone else but yourself, but use the feedback in your life to your advantage. When the call to adventure falls upon Rocky, that is when he is given the opportunity to fight Apollo Creed for the heavyweight championship of the world. He is scared, as we will probably be when we find ourselves in a similar situation.
I'm really a ham and egg. This guy, he's the best, and it wouldn't be such a good fight.
Rocky is at the gates of a new and unexplored land. This new world of pain, sacrifice, temptation, invincible seeming foes, and the list goes on is terrifying. This is why almost every hero has hesitation upon embarking on their journey. We will most likely fail at some early trials, but as long as we keep moving forward, we will eventually be able to do what Rocky did, and that is go the distance. The important thing is to get to the place where you fully commit and accept the journey into your new life. When we do this, when we accept the adventure, we then receive the help we need from seemingly divine sources. So now that Rocky embarks on his quest to beat Apollo Creed, this is the first thing that we see. We see Rocky wake up at 4 a.m., slowly get up and drink 5 eggs. This scene perfectly captures the feeling of the start of our journeys. Whether it is training for a fight like Rocky, starting a new job, or even beginning a challenging course of study. It's lonely at the beginning, and a lot of times awful feeling. Rocky starts running in the freezing cold and just has to put one step in front of the other. You can be sure of one thing though. After Rocky finishes his road work, he's going to feel good about himself. He can then use that momentum to help him with his next obstacle. And with enough consistency and grit, this eventually happens. He is able to run miles and miles, perform countless push-ups, and endure hours of bag work. He's finally in the best physical shape of his life, and he's actually ready to face Apollo. It's no coincidence that Rocky's biggest celebration isn't when the fight with Apollo is over, but when he finally can scale the iconic steps at the end of his long run. He has finally conquered his inner demons that have stopped him from being the best version of himself. Rocky finally meets Apollo in the ring, and we all know what happens. He goes the distance. He doesn't win, but he shows the world, and most importantly himself, he's not a bum, he's a future champion. And once we reach our goals, when we summit these behemoth mountains in our lives, what will we find matters most? Well, just like Rocky, when he calls for Adrian at the end of the fight, we will realize that our friends and family who helped us get there matter the most. We will now be in a position to help the people who helped us. And this is probably the most rewarding experience of our human condition. The movie Rocky is one of the most inspiring mythic journeys of our modern age. It teaches us that the seemingly impossible is within our reach if we can just find the courage to take our shot at glory.